Is
Okay.
Kirsten not coming? Is she still sick?
I messaged her, but she didn't respond yet, so I'm not sure if she can make it or not.
Ooh. And she's not, do we know she's,
She has the COVID, right?
Yes,
oh,
but she should be getting close to being better by now, so I'm not sure. She didn't respond.
okay. Wow. And it's been how long?
It's been a week now since we saw her last.
Okay. And so she's still sick, huh? We don't know.
I'm not sure. Yeah, she hasn't let me know.
Speculating.
Yes.
Okay, so anything come up from the homework from week 4? Kim, it's like all on you. Just go ahead.
Oh boy. So I have been working on this thought download thing.
Okay.
That I've been working on, and I really enjoyed that Byron Katie. Is her name Byron or is it Katie?
It's Byron Katie.
So that's her first name, Byron?
Yes.
Oh, okay. It just seems funny. But anyway, that her talk with the prisoners was quite fascinating. And the other thing that surprised me is like some of those prisoners, they almost seemed a little bit normal. I don't know what I thought prisoners would look like, but it was like,
Normal.
But I thought that it was really interesting the way she broke things down and like the little light bulbs that were going on. When the guy said, I hate my father-in-law, he got me into heroin. And so just the way she breaks it down, and she, to split the truth between what you think is really interesting, which you can do that with everything in life, in all different. So I feel like that's really interesting. And I'm interested to keep looking at that whole thought process.
Okay. Yeah. So her process is a little bit different, but it's good. And I just liked showing the prisoner video because, these are people that have such huge things to overcome, and she's working with them and she's helping them because they can start to see, like with the heroin, did he really get you into heroin? Because it's about the personal responsibility and coming back to that. Mm-hmm. And I've had my son watch a bunch of them as well. And there's one where a girl was molested by her stepfather. Mm. And she has to see her part in it with Byron Katie's help. And so it's very sad because she was molested several times, but it's like, that's what you have to come to forgive yourself. Because that's what everybody's struggling with, is forgiving themselves.
Even though wouldn't you say she's a true victim in that situation?
I would say so, but it was very interesting to watch Byron Katie go through it, because she did have some responsibility, because she kept going back, allowing that instead of, speaking up. And so I thought that was really interesting, but that was the only way that she was freed from, all the pain and the anger, because then she was finally able to forgive herself. And so Byron Katie's work is totally free. And if you go to her website, you can download the 4 questions and the turnaround, that worksheet. So I don't know if you saw that or not, but
yeah, I looked at her and it looks like she's got several books out there, and just like you said, her coaching is a little bit different than Brooke's, but both of them are just really interesting to look at. I think Brooke's probably makes more sense for me to look at, situations that way, but the Byron's was very, very interesting as well.
Yes. And she was, she had such self-loathing that she wouldn't allow herself to sleep in a bed. She made herself sleep on the floor. And for years, depression, and had children at home and wasn't even able to function or take care of her children. And then a cockroach walked over her foot when she was laying on the floor. And she all of a sudden had like this awakening, like, what's happening in my life that I'm allowing this to happen. And so she went on this process of kind of healing herself and becoming a productive member of society and helping her children, with the rest of their raising. I think she was divorced, and alone. And I mean, it was a very sad story. So good. So now you didn't really say anything about thought downloads because you kind of went off on that. So what's happening with the thought downloads?
Oh, so I did start writing down I haven't gotten really far, but I'm trying to train myself to do that in the morning, to write down. And so, yes, I found some negative thoughts that I've been writing down. And so some of that, it's like, okay, so what would be the point in writing down the negative thoughts? Because I almost feel like I don't want to start out my day feeling like bad about myself, which is what it feels like to write down negative things.
So your brain is already saying it to yourself.
Uh-huh.
What the reason you want to write down these things is because you want to start to realize how you're talking to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you find those thoughts that come up over and over and over again, what you can start to do, we're talking about the thought download, Kayla. What you can start to do is recognize you have pretty much a pattern and they're going to be the same thoughts. And then that would be the time when you'd want to do the model. And so then you'd write out your circumstance and then you would start to see how you can change that. But you're not aware of it until you actually allow yourself to write those thoughts down. You're just none of us are aware. And go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
So as you do that, then it's called being the watcher. So watching your brain, watching what your brain is saying to you. And that's what the thought download is. So it's not that I want you to start your day out being negative. They're already in there. It's already being said.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever wake up with just like, like anxiety or a feeling in the pit of your stomach, like dread or
when I'm going to go get on the scales, then that makes a difference.
Right. And so those are the types of things that you're able to start to address with doing the thought download.
Okay.
And it's really interesting because I had another client this week that said what you said, Kim, exactly. That he said, I'm just making a to-do list because he wasn't moving forward. Nothing was happening. And I've worked with him several times and it's almost like the same thing every single time I meet with him and go over stuff. And so I asked him about his thought downloads because he's, oh yeah, I'm doing that. Come to find out he wasn't doing them. Mm-hmm. He was dictating into his computer. That was his idea. And then he said it would generally go right to a to-do list of things I needed to take care of, which I'm like, that's fine, but you need to start going through those thoughts because he doesn't realize that he's having the same thing happen over and over, and he's having the same complaint over and over and over. But once he starts to do the real thought downloads and taking a look at what his brain is saying, so it's not just writing it down, but it's like reading it and then starting to disagree with yourself. Like, no, that's not true.
I did. And see, that's how I would write it down. It's like, okay, I'm feeling this way, but I know that this isn't true.
Okay.
Just because I feel like a disappointment, but then it's like, that's not true. I'm not a disappointment to everyone. So some of those things that I was writing down, it's like, okay, maybe I feel that way, but I don't think that it's completely true because I know that there's certain people I could ask and they'd say, oh no, so once you address those thoughts, then then you just put them to the side and then they're gone?
It takes you a while to realize that it's just a thought pattern that you have created in your brain and to change it. Okay. So it's rewiring your thinking is what you're doing. But before you can rewire your thinking, you have to actually know what you're thinking. Okay. And that's great that you're seeing that because you're probably going to write that down every day for a while because that thought will come up. Mm-hmm. And then that might be the key thought that needs to be changed. And so then you'll start to hear yourself say that to yourself. And it's like, no, you've already started. You've said, no, I'm not a disappointment to everybody. And then, but the person that you need to be concerned about is yourself. You need to not allow yourself to feel disappointed with you because it's not true.
It's other people. It's the people pleaser part, right? That's got to be a part in there.
Well, yes, but the people pleaser doesn't want to look inside. They're looking for approval from other people. And the people pleaser is disapproving of themselves. Mm-hmm. That's what's at the heart of it, is that you're disapproving of yourself. Mm-hmm. And so by not looking externally for the approval, which you did because you said immediately, well, not everybody is disappointed in me. And and it doesn't matter.
Yep.
But the people pleaser wants to look externally, but it doesn't
Mhm.
matter because you can't be disappointed in yourself. You need to realize how wonderful you are and what a gift you are, and there's nobody else like you. And that's what's so wonderful. But that takes time for you to really get on the side of it and be like, oh yeah, I can see that. So
Mhm.
that's what the thought download does.
Okay, well, that's interesting, that part. It must be hereditary. Sorry, Jesse.
And a lot of the things I talked about last week is we develop our personality and our relationship. Was it last week? Between 2 times in our life, between the time we're 18 months and yeah, and then between 3 and 4 when we don't even remember. So so a lot of times it's just watching other people and then modeling what you see. And so it's not intentionally trying to pass on bad habits to another person, but somebody else, when you have children, they're looking at you and they're modeling what you're doing. And so even if you never said anything about wanting to be a people pleaser or not have your child be a people pleaser, they're watching you and studying you and seeing what's happening with you. Any other thoughts? Jess or Kayla, you guys want to talk on what's been happening with the week 4 homework?
Trying to think here. I feel like mine have been mostly, pretty positive, but like I will realize like I'll catch myself sometimes just like thinking back of just like other places I've worked and this and that. Like, how am I I'm not doing a very good job of describing this, but just like thinking of things in the past, like how, I don't know, I used to like work with some of those people and stuff, and like they're just super, super negative. And I guess I still think of that stuff now. And I'll actually like, I'll start thinking about it and it puts me in a bad mood. And I'm like, this was like, years ago, I don't even know why it bothers me. And so I noticed I caught myself doing that the other day. And I'm like, why am I getting all worked up about something that was like way, way in the past? But so I had that myself, but.
And so, yeah, why would what about their negativity is bothering? Are you disappointed in them or what's happening?
No, I was just, and like I said, I don't even know where it came from or like why it even popped in my head. It was just like a place I'd worked, I didn't get along with, most of the people very well. And pretty much I didn't like them. They didn't like me type of deal. But yeah, I don't know why. It was just like something I was thinking about the other day. And so I kind of like put me in a bad mood and I'm like, why am I even, it was ridiculous. And so I mean, I got through, I'm fine and stuff. It was weird. So I don't know.
Okay.
And I normally don't think about that stuff or anything. So like I said, I don't know where it came from or that's weird or what, but.
Yeah, but I'm curious. It'd be interesting if you kind of spent some time thinking about why that came up. Was it something that you were doing? And you kind of have to stop yourself when you have that feeling or that thought is just like, wait a minute, let me just take a minute here and think about what's going on, because maybe it's the way maybe it was something that they didn't want to do that was similar to what you were doing now. Or, I mean, it is very interesting that you would bring that up and it would come up for you when you're the boss now.
Right.
And
that back then I was just like a worker, I was just a grunt, just told what to do and when to do it, that type of stuff. But
right. Yeah.
I don't know. It's very random. I know.
No, but I think that there's meaning in things and trying to find the meaning. So have you been doing the thought downloads?
Yeah, a little bit. Not as much as I should be, I'll be honest. But yeah, I try to do like every morning. I don't touch my phone for like the first 30 minutes and just try to like think my thoughts. And I kind of go to the same thing, like to the to-do list every day, and my brain just does that. But I really try to just think and collect my thoughts for the day. And I do feel like I feel better and more positive every day when I do that. I've noticed for myself. So
that's good. Okay.
I do think it works. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And so sometimes when you have those thoughts that come up from the past, like what you were mentioning, it could be that that's a pattern. Again, these are the thoughts you're having over and over. And so when you get away from doing the thought downloads, when you've been doing them, sometimes you have this sensation of going back to some negativity. And I wouldn't say that that's your personality, but there's some reason that came up thinking about those people.
Okay.
And so spend some time when you're writing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, maybe asking yourself some questions about it. And why is this coming up for me now, to come up with the answer? Because your brain's smart. It has the answer.
Yep.
It knows.
That's a good point. All right.
And it's always trying to hide your smartness from you. Your brain is always just trying to say, this is going to be hard. We don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's always saying that to you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Kayla? No? Nothing? I like your outdoors there. We saw your puppy. You don't want to talk. Okay. All right. So this is our last class. Do you know that? Yeah. I can't believe it's been 6 weeks. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about kind of the lifestyle eating, and then wanting to talk about excuses and failure, because this comes up a lot. And we talked about thinking about this being the last time you have to change the way you eat in your lifestyle, that this is it. From here on out, this is going to be the way you're going to eat, and you're giving yourself the freedom to take as much time as you need to lose weight and get in shape. You're allowing that for yourself. And when you say that and you start to believe it, that this is the last time, I'm never going to have to lose weight again. The other part is thinking about the future self. And so spending time envisioning yourself when you're at your goal weight, when you're in the shape you want to be in, actually closing your eyes and thinking about what you look like, what your clothes look like, how you feel in your clothes. Are you wearing a bathing suit? You know, for me, it's always wearing white pants. I don't know why. I'm very messy, so I always get something on my white pants, but I always think about being in white pants. So just think about that. And that, again, most of what you're needing to do, what we're all needing to do, is slow down and spend time getting to know ourselves. And when we're thinking about our future self, we're going to think about different ways of doing everything, and we're not going to look back. Because when we look back and base our lives on our past, that's not usually our best representation. And it's over. The past is over. You're putting it aside. You have the opportunity now to learn anything you want and be anything you want. And so that's where you need to start to shift and thinking about, this is what I want to look like. This is how I want to feel. And the answers are in the brain. Our answers are there, but we just have to tap into that and say, future self to present self. Okay, I don't eat sweets. I don't eat flour and sugar. I just don't. And you start to say those things to yourself, and you start to come from that place, because you're going to be different. You have to be different to achieve your goals and be better. Otherwise, it's just a rinse repeat of past life, of the, you know, what you've lived up until now. And it's kind of interesting, because most people, when they are fully grown, which is between 35 and 40, and their brain is fully developed, they start to look to their past as the best time in their life, and they spend time dwelling on their past. And you'll hear them and you'll know them, because they'll be the guys that talk about their football career when they were in high school, and they're talking with their friends in their maybe 40s, and you're thinking, wow, that is so sad, because that was the best time of their life. They don't have a way to think about dreaming a bigger life for themselves in the future, so they just revert back to the past. And people that do that also buffer a lot, and generally have addiction to alcohol, or they're buffering with food, shopping, porn, internet. That's generally what happens. And so there's this level of comfort that they don't have with themselves, and they've never thought about making a life different. And so the exciting thing is that when you think about looking at your life from your future self, then that's where you can set the goals of whatever you want and be whoever you want. And so one of the exercises that is a good idea, and I didn't think to make a homework one today, is making a letter from your future self. So writing yourself a letter from the person that you want. And so for you to write down the 5 things you want to accomplish in your life from here on out. And so that might be, I have a fabulous family and we get along well. I have my house paid off. I have money for retirement. I drive this beautiful car and I have a great relationship with my spouse. I mean, there's 5 things that to accomplish in a lifetime. And so then when you start to think about that, then from your future, that's what you want to start to tell yourself, because that person that's your future self can give you advice today in your life. And I know this sounds crazy, but this is a good thing to do, because when we direct our brain and we say, these are the things I want in my life, and this is what I want to accomplish, now here's how I'm going to do it. And the future self has already done it. And so by doing that, she will tell you what you should be doing on a daily basis, or how you're going to accomplish it. And it's amazing, like I said, because the thoughts are already in our brain. We just need to give our prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of our brain, the planning part of our brain, ideas of what we want. And then that part of our brain will help us get there. But like I said, the future self already knows how to get there. You just have to tell your present self about it. And then another thing to do is to write a letter to yourself, your past self, which is talking about forgiving yourself for whatever you need to forgive yourself for. And if you're sorry, why you're sorry about whatever happened. If you're sad, because this would be part of the letter. And then what you wished you would have known at whatever age. So the past self could be a teenager. And the thing that comes up the most when people do this is that they can tell their past self to just, everything's going to be okay. It's all going to work out. But we generally don't know that or think that for ourselves. And you need to tell yourself why you love yourself, your past self, because there's things that past self did that were wonderful for you and set you up to where you're at right now. But it's about forgiving yourself. And a lot of it comes from the past, when we're not able to forgive ourselves. And that's what hangs people up, is thinking about their past and things they did do or they didn't do. The other thing that I think is a good idea when you're thinking about your future self is think about your 25-year plan. So starting to envision what you might be like or where you might be in 25 years. And so for someone like Jess, I don't know, are you 30, Jess? So you'd be 55. So when you're 55, you would have already raised your family, probably, or they'd be in college. But to start to have these plans, because it's amazing how much we think we can accomplish in a year, and we generally can't. But when we make our plans for 25 years, we can accomplish so much more than we ever thought. But we have to give our brain an idea of where we want to go and what we want. And so I have a plan for 25 years from now. That's a long time. I'll be 80. But now I know, and the pressure isn't so difficult, because I'm going to have a $5 million business. So the pressure isn't like I have to do that this year. I'm going to do it down the road. And Kim wants to do something different. I don't know, Kayla, what your vision would be for 25 years, but can we do a little exercise on this, Jess? Would you be willing?
Yes.
Okay. So let's think tell me about what it'd be like when you're 25 years from now, when you're 55.
25 years from now. So I have like a couple things I want to accomplish. I'd like to own at least 100 doors for like rentals.
Okay.
Like minimum. I mean, 25, I was thinking like, yeah, about 25 years from now, maybe more, but I thought that'd be a good goal.
Okay.
And then I kind of stole one of your ideas, how you were saying you wanted to help like a million women. I think it was 1 million women. Mm-hmm. I thought like a good one for me would be help. Like, it doesn't matter the number of people, but help people lose 1 million pounds. So total combined. Because
Wow.
well, I'm thinking, I'm like, at the gym, I bet we're probably at 1,000, if not thousands of pounds already. And so I thought 1,000,000 pounds would be kind of cool.
That is awesome.
So I kind of stole part of it from you, but same idea. So
That is great. Okay. What else? What's your family going to look like?
probably in college, hopefully more doctors. No, I'm teasing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So kids in college in 25 years?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I would imagine, I don't know, like I won't have to work, but it'll be like, I'll definitely have like some type of business going. I'm not sure what it'll be. I still want to do like the weight loss, but maybe it'd be like more online coaching.
Okay.
But I do have the goal of like a $10 million business.
Okay. 10 million. That's awesome.
Kind of big. I guess everything's all relative to who you're comparing yourself to.
Great. And then, okay. And then what about your marriage or your family?
Still married and things really good.
Okay. All right. So 10 million in sales. You're working, it sounds like you're working maybe part-time or a
Yeah.
small amount in your business.
I like the 4-hour workday.
Okay. So 20 hours a week. That's a lot.
It probably is. Maybe
Yep.
10. But
Okay. Okay. 10 hours per week. Yeah. Why not? You're going to have somebody that's responsible, that's running it, that you've trained, that's going to send it in the direction you want. What else? What kind of fun things do you want to do? What kind of joy do you want to have in your life?
travel all the time, or at least I think I'll like traveling. I feel like you might like it less and less as you get older, but I like the idea. Definitely being a snowbird. So
Okay. All right. What kind of hobbies do you want to have?
fishing. I still want to be super fit. So like, work out all the time, still like take like health and fitness super, super seriously.
Okay. In great shape. All right.
And then
Okay.
other hobbies. I mean, I like just being outdoors, fishing. I don't anything outdoors, anything physical for the most part I like to do. So that's why it kind of goes hand in hand with staying healthy, I would say too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And do you want to have some goal for savings or money you're going to have in the bank or?
$10 million again.
Oh, so 10 million in the bank. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then when you think about this, because that's a big goal, right? Those are great goals. Anything else you're thinking of that you would like to have accomplished in 25 years?
I probably should say more, but that's it for now.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe you want to learn to fly a plane, or you want to write a book, or you want to have a speaking.
Oh, I do have a book. Yeah, I do actually want to write a book way later.
Okay.
On the road, so.
Okay, great. And so what's going to happen is now he's giving his brain things to think about and work on. And he's made some commitments or some thoughts for 25 years. And then he's going to break it down and say, this is what I need to do in 10 years and 5 years, and then down to 1 year, and then next week. And so these can change at any time. But what he's starting to do is dream bigger and want more things, which is great, because that's what we're all about. It's is about caring for people in the universe, caring for other people. And then as we do that and we give value to the world, then our dreams come true, because it's not about hoarding money or anything like that. It's about when your dreams are so big, then you can help more people, and then things naturally come back to you. And so to help people lose 1 million pounds, I mean, that is so amazing. That is so cool. And then from that, it would be natural that he would have a book, and then sales, everybody would be flocking to him. So that's what you want to do, is start to spend time dreaming on things like that instead of dwelling on the past, thinking about the future, enrolling, and starting to talk about it. Because you could have a slogan right now at your club about helping people lose 1 million pounds, and people are going to get on board with that, and they're going to love it.
That's a good idea.
Even tracking, where you are, what you think you've done so far, because that number is going to be incredible.
Sure.
But as you start to share that idea of helping people lose 1 million pounds, that's huge. That's so cool. I never even have heard that before. That's really cool. Okay. So anybody else want to share ideas about what they want to do in their next 25 years? No? Okay. Okay. And so when we start to do this positive stuff and we start to think ahead, because it's important to be positive, it's easy to, like I said, look back and maybe think that the best part of your life has already passed, and it's not true at all. We live in an amazing time where we have a phone and a computer, and we can learn to do anything by watching YouTube videos. I mean, it's amazing what you can learn to do. I love it. I can't believe it. All the things that I can go find out about. And so we just have this wonderful opportunity, and we have to think of it that way. Anything you're curious about, you can go watch videos. I wanted to raise bees. I started watching videos on YouTube. I didn't have to, people wanted me to go to a class in Seattle. It's like, I know I'm not driving to Seattle to go to a class on raising bees. I just started watching these YouTube videos and got an idea of what I was supposed to do. So there's so much opportunity to do anything you want through that. And so I think that you want to always think about the positive, because it's so easy, especially right now, to just look out. And if you watch the news and you listen to the radio, it's like, oh my gosh, you would think, I don't know if we're going to survive. You hear people saying that right now. I don't know what's going to happen to America. And you think, we've been through worse and we're going to make it. We're going to be fine. I mean, there's some things we need to do with our religion, obviously, because it's gotten crazy out there. But spend less time on those types of things, because that will bring you down and will be great for your brain, because it wants to worry all the time, and that's just feeding in. And the media knows that. The media knows that this is what we what attracts us and gives us those dopamine hits is scary stuff all the time, headlines all the time. So to get away from it, not watch that. And then the other thing, I heard this came from listening to the guy that does bar rescue. He goes in, I don't know his name. It's a crazy show. He goes into a bar and he helps them turn around the bar. And these bars are like 2 weeks from closing. Anyways, it's been on for years and years. And he was talking about excuses are the common denominator of failure. That excuses help you feel better about failing. And looking outside yourself for a reason is simply an excuse for you not to take responsibility for exactly where you are, if you're fit or overweight, out of shape or unhappy with who you are or where you're at. And you don't lose hope. It's just taking in, saying, you know what, I'm responsible. I get it. It's okay. I forgive myself. I'm okay. Whatever happened, happened. And then move forward. But you'll hear people out in the world just be like, oh, COVID, I've gained all this weight. COVID, I haven't been able to work out because of COVID. I'm making the excuse of my house is a disaster. I mean, it's just like, I'm doing it too. And so you just have to take responsibility and realize that all the power is in you taking responsibility and knowing that you can make a difference and forgiving yourself, like I had said. So then thinking about the lifestyle eating plan again and making it something that is easy for you to follow. So for me, it's no flour, no sugar, no dairy. That's it. And then adding in those joy eats, but starting to spend time with writing it down, planning what I'm going to eat, getting the food ahead of time, and then knowing it's going to get boring, which is what you want, because we've allowed there to be so much drama around food. I mean, I used to cook like these crazy gourmet meals every night, and it would just take me forever to plan it and shop for it and take 2 hours out of every single day. And I would do that. And it's like, does it make any difference? No. And I did this when my kids were younger, and it was funny because my son said not too long ago, and he's in really good shape, but he was like, man, we just used to eat junk food all the time. And I was just like, are you kidding me? That's his perception of it. And mine was totally different. Like, I'm making these wonderful meals and they're super healthy. And so it was really funny to hear him say that and not take it personally. Yeah. So Jess is asking, what do you tell somebody when they complain it's too boring? Life isn't supposed, or food's not supposed to be exciting. When you get your food to be really boring, then the rest of your life gets to be exciting.
Okay.
Because there's no reason that we need to make food so dramatic and exciting. It's just not. It's just fuel for your body.
Mhm.
That's it.
So I've struggled because I'll have people who do like, my meal plan for a while, and they'll do it for like, a few weeks on end. And then that's like one of the complaints I get. It's like, hey, it's boring. I don't like eating the same stuff over and over. And so Kayla's been really good. She's been like posting recipes and like different ways for people to cook the food. I was just trying to like, think of a better way to not overcome that objection, but just try to like, convince them that you're right, that it's just fuel. It doesn't matter. But,
Right.
and so.
Yeah. Well, so it makes your life so much easier when the food becomes boring, because you don't have to worry about shopping. I mean, you buy the same stuff every week pretty much, right?
Mhm. Yes.
You eat tons of salads, you eat tons of veggies. And so what needs to happen is they need to start working on their mind, because that's an excuse. That's a reason they want to quit. And it's usually, so it takes you about 6 weeks to come to a place where you're not addicted to flour and sugar, the sweet stuff like that. And as soon as you cheat or have a joy eat, then those little receptors they wake up again, and they think, oh, okay, we're going to go back to eating the other way, the way we used to eat. So then it's more talking about, what does that food mean to you? Why does the food have to be exciting? It's just fuel for your body. I have kind of like a bulletproof coffee in the morning. I have a smoothie that I make. I make it for 4 days in a row, so I only make it every 4 days. It sits in the fridge. I blend it again that day and put protein in it. And then dinner is a salad bag and some protein. And that's what I eat. And that's it.
Perfect.
That's just, you're trying to give them freedom
Mhm.
by making the meal plan simple.
Okay.
And that's what I would say. And then they need to be prepared ahead of time.
Yes. Thank you.
Uh-huh. That was a good one. That's a good question, because that does come up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I used to be like such a sugar addict, and now it's like I don't even think about sugar. I don't even need it. I was in everything. It was like my water had the fake sugar in it. My coffee had sugar in it. And then you're just on this constant cycle where you need it because you're so addicted to it.
Mm-hmm.
And the inflammation was just so bad in my feet and my legs. I just really felt it. So that's what I'd be asking them too, is about how does their body feel? Because they need to be checking in on that. What's different about the way I feel in my body? Do I have any, they'll say they have aches and pains if they haven't worked out, and all of a sudden they're having to work out. But this is different, because this is going to be more in the joints, because that's inflammation. Okay. And then, like I had talked about with the dopamine response, when when you eat the bad food, then you get these little hits, kind of like a reward of, oh, your body's waking up, or it's having sugar and it hasn't had it in a while. So that's why you want to be you want to just plan those joy eats and not have them very often. And so, like, if you're gonna eat off your lifestyle eating plan for dinner, don't have a dinner off and then dessert that night as well. If you want dessert, then have your regular food for dinner and then have a dessert, but not both. Because then the other thing that starts to happen is, if you fall off the wagon, and then it just perpetuates and you keep going, because then you feel out of control. You feel terrible about yourself. So you want to slowly, over time. This doesn't happen overnight. This takes time to develop your eating this way. And that will help you. And there is a worksheet that I could send out to you. It's called the Tedious Powerful Worksheet. And what you're trying to do is figure out why you like that food so much. And so you write down the food, and then you take a bite and you talk about how it tastes. And then you take another bite and talk about how it tastes and feels in your mouth. And you start to do that so that you realize it's not about the food at all. It's more about your thoughts about the food in your mind and the sensations in your body. And so I will send that one out to you guys. I'll send it to Jess so he can send it to you. But this all goes together. It's not like we talk about our future and it has nothing to do with our eating and exercise. It's all one thing. It's the same. And as we start to become better about this and spend more time thinking in our heads and listening to what we're saying, then we give ourselves more grace and we have peace with ourselves, and it takes time. Okay. Do you guys have any questions for me?
How long do you suggest somebody be perfect on their eating before they have their first joy eat?
6 weeks.
6 weeks, just to have all the sugar withdrawals and whatnot. Okay.
Yep. But what happens in those 6 weeks is it resets your hormones.
Mhm.
So your ghrelin and leptin and your insulin starts to kind of be more normalized.
Mhm.
And so then, and it starts to reset the dopamine and serotonin as well. So it takes that long, takes a while to do that.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So then once you're at your ideal weight, can you have should you just have a cheat meal once a week? Is that too often?
You're going to be able to see if you can go, some people can eat 5 days on and 2 days off. So two meals off, not 2 full days, but 2 dinners potentially. Okay. So when you get to your ideal weight, you're going to play with it. But what should be happening over time is that you're not still thinking about the food from the past.
Right.
You realize this is how I eat now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
How long did it take you to get to your goal weight?
Huh?
How long did it take you to get to your goal weight?
I'm not there yet.
Oh, okay.
But it's like, it's a new way to eat. So it's not like, there's a deadline.
Oh, okay.
And the other thing that's interesting is when you start lifting weights, your body changes and you will weigh more. Yeah. So then, and I think that's something that Kayla needs to really be thinking about, is because it's like, whatever that goal weight is, it will change. And what's more important to you? Is it weighing a certain amount on the scale, which means nothing, and it changes every freaking day depending on what's happening in your body? Or is it a size of clothes or how you look and feel in your body? And so it's going to look different. And if you really start to get strong, then you're going to weigh more. That's a good question.
Well, building muscle is important at my age.
Yes.
I noticed that that was one reason why I was glad to go and work out at the gym. This sounds so, I sound like such a weakling because I am, but when you're in the airplane and you have to put your overhead, your carry-on in the overhead bin, I pack my carry-on, I stick everything in there because I don't want to have to go collect my luggage at the carousel. And it was like, oh my gosh, I have one chance. I'm going to swing this carry-on, and if I don't make it the first time, I'm going to have to ask somebody to help me, and I'm not about to ask someone to help me. And so, just something as simple as that. And I thought, if I don't get some sort of muscle, I could end up, if I don't make it the first time into the overhead carry bin, when it comes back down, I don't want to hit somebody, because you know how small those planes are and how people are packed in. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I can whip that thing up there now.
Oh, you can. That's great news. That's so wonderful.
Oh, yeah. Baby steps.
And what aging experts are saying now is the amount of muscle you have on your body depends on how long you're going to live. Because as we age, we're losing between 1% and 5% of our muscle every year. And so they don't think it's about the way you eat anymore as much when you're older. They think it's about how much muscle you keep on your body.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so they're thinking that that's going to reduce diabetes and all kinds of things when we are stronger. And I never heard that before. And so that's a new theory that there's a PhD that wrote a book on it, and it seems pretty promising with the research he's done. Yeah. So pretty incredible. Mm-hmm. There was also a gentleman that I listened to. He's a PhD that he started to listen to his his lizard brain, his prehistoric brain, and he would go around and write down every single thing it was saying to him, because he was a chocolate addict. And so he was about 75 pounds overweight, and he could not stop eating chocolate. He couldn't go a day without it. And so what he did was, every single time his brain told him or made an excuse why he needed to eat that chocolate, which was generally, you're never going to go without chocolate, you might as well eat it, you blew your diet already today, he would just start writing those things down and listening to it. And so he renamed his lizard brain the pig brain. And he wrote a whole book about it, and he's helped like 10,000 people lose weight, because now he knows all the things the pig part of his brain is going to say to him. And so he actually did a big study on why people eat chocolate and why they eat sweet foods and why they eat salty foods. And he found, I think it was 100,000 people he studied, I think that's how many it was, that the people that eat chocolate are lonely and feel isolated. That's why they eat chocolate. And so for him, he went back to his mom. He's a PhD and he's a psychologist. His mom is also a psychologist. And he talked to his mom about it and told her what was happening and what he'd been finding. And his mom said, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I apologize, because when you were a little tiny boy, your dad was in Vietnam. Her dad had just been released from prison, and he was a child molester, I guess. Anyways, so she had all this stress on her and she couldn't cope, and she was very young. So she would just give him chocolate all the time when he was bothering her, because she couldn't deal with him. And so then the emotion and the food got connected together, because she couldn't handle him. She was isolating him. She wasn't able to pay attention to him, and she was giving him a reward of chocolate. And that was just his example, but he could trace back all the people and the types of food that they ate and why they ate it, because of something that had again happened. And he was 2 years old. He has no memory of this, none. But his brain remembered it and picked up on it and moved forward with it. Does that make sense? What's your dog's name?
It's Militia.
Militia?
Yeah,
Oh, is he part pit or she part pit?
she is.
Yeah. Cute. Cute dog. Anything you want to share, Kayla, now that I got you unmuted?
Not really.
Not really. Everything's going great?
It is.
Oh, good.
I did gain weight though, but that's because I'm gaining muscle.
Yep.
So I just was like, I'm not weighing myself no more.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And so Jess was able to detect that with the calipers? Is that how you're kind of tracking your body fat?
Well, yeah, I check, and before I stayed the same weight, and I'd check my weight like every day to make sure I stayed there. And then I was like, this is too much. So then I stopped, and I would do it once a week, and then I'd stay, and then I'd fluctuate. And then my body fat percent kept going down. So that's good. So then I realized that I was gaining muscle. Then I pushed myself too hard and worked out too much and ended up hurting myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you want to have a realistic lifestyle, because you can't continue to work out to compensate, to make your body different. And it's really important that you think about that, because then you will injure yourself, and you don't want to have any injuries. You just want to be at a healthy weight. And are you working with other people at the gym, helping them, or no?
With different foods and stuff, if people reach out, I will.
Okay. And Jess said you're coming up with some different types of recipes?
Yeah, I stick to the meal plan pretty good. My cheat days, sometimes I'll just have a salad. I have ice cream though, and I hadn't had ice cream in over a year. And
how did that
killed me.
And what?
It killed me.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
It made me sick.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Well, I mean, ice cream is a combination of, it has tons of sugar in it, it has dairy in it, and then it has all kinds of fillers. So it's like so many things coming at you at one time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, what did you guys think? Was this helpful to you guys?
Yeah.
Did you learn some things? Okay. What would you want to be different?
I don't know.
You're helping me by giving me feedback. You are.
I don't know. I don't think anything really. Like a lot of stuff that I've listened to everybody and you, I sometimes think about like in my daily life, it'll come up and be like, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't let this bother me. Like sometimes certain things bother me that people say, and then I just push it off and I'm like, oh, it doesn't bother me. And then later on it will. And then I don't know, it doesn't bother me now.
Because when we have a circumstance, so something happens in the world,
Right.
we get in a car accident with another car, let's say. So you have a thought about what happened and they have a different thought about what happened. How does that happen? How could that exist? It's just that we have different thoughts. Our brains work different. And so when those things happen and people give you that feedback or say things that hurt your feelings, it's like they just have a different thought about me. That's
Right.
them. That's their business, not mine. So I like that. I like that you said that. I appreciate it. How about you guys? Thank you, Kayla. Jess?
I really liked it. And so I don't know what to suggest to change because I feel like it was all really good and very helpful, especially like somebody new just starting to lose weight. Like I feel like, especially like for the people because people either love doing a meal plan or they absolutely do not want to be told what to do. So I think for those people, this is like perfect because there's not very many rules to it. So they can technically eat anything they want, just no flour, no sugar, and the intermittent fast. So I think for that person, it's an excellent program for. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to suggest to it, to be honest. I'll think on it, but I don't know yet.
Okay. What about you, Kim?
I guess I don't really have any suggestions. I actually enjoyed it very much, and I think it was really cool to do the whole because it's always been about like what I for the day, that sort of thing. Way, but not your thoughts or all of that. The whole mind part of it was.
Okay. Kayla, can you mute yourself? Sorry, I think it's traffic.
Oh.
Okay, there. I'm sorry, Kim. I could hardly hear you. I'm so sorry. I apologize. Could you say that over?
The whole mind coaching part of it it's a whole new, we're hearing about this life coaching and all of this. It's such a new, something that I just didn't know anything about. And so I find it very fascinating and very interesting. And so I enjoy that part of it very much.
Okay. Fascinating and interesting. Does it
I want to go further into it.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Kayla, before you came on, Kim was talking about Byron Katie. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch that video, the prison video, but Kim was talking about what the changes these prisoners were able to start to make. I don't think they really made any of the changes, but if you get a chance, that's just another opportunity to look at a different angle in looking at your mind and how we take responsibility for things in our lives or how we change our lives, because we're the only ones that can change our lives. So it might be something to look at. So do you think the homework was helpful? Because I felt like, oh my gosh, I gave them so much homework that I don't even know if they're doing it. Was it helpful? Was it too much? Was it not enough?
I thought it was good. I didn't watch every single video on the fasting part, but I did watch one of those. No, I think I didn't do the homework at 100%, but I did do the parts of the homework. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's actually, it was good. Like watching her video, doing the thought download. It's harder, you know, it's like as you get older, you know, you get more set in your ways. And I think that's a really bad thing. It's good to stretch yourself as you get older and to not just do things the way you've always done it. And I guess I see a lot of excuse making in myself. And I think that that's something that I really need to take a good hard look at.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
you're right, we're the only ones that can make a difference tomorrow. I mean, we're the only ones that are in charge of
Right.
making a difference. And if you hurt somebody's feelings because you don't want to do what they want to do, they'll live.
They will live.
Mhm.
Thank you, people pleaser. I can't believe it. That's amazing. And then I think if you looked at that 25-year plan and start dreaming about what you want your life to be like in 25 years, and it doesn't have to be work, it could just be, you know, like the relationships you want to have and how you want to spend your time, then sometimes that helps with the excuses or seemingly set in your ways, because you can redesign your life to be different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm struggling a lot with not having like this set schedule where I'm expected to be at the office at this time. It's been hard. It's almost been a year since I sold my business. So that's just kind of like, whoa. But I don't want to work full time. So then I just have to plan out 2 or 3 days a week is what I want to work and be more committed to that time. And then for me, I get up at 5. And so the Mel Robinson thing, Robbins has really helped me when I'm just dilly-dallying, because it's like, why? It's dark outside. I don't want to get up. But doing the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then just getting out of bed.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked about her a little bit, but you can find tons of research on how she was able to change her life by just doing this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And because it changes the way your mind is thinking and you just commit to. And I've been doing that. So that's been helping me get out of bed when I would just rather just not.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm tired. I just like, why? It's cold outside. It's dark.
So do you miss having that set schedule?
No.
You don't? Okay.
My family, we're workers. We're worker bees.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the hard thing, is to have an identity without being that person. That's been the hardest part, is to define myself differently than I'm a business owner. I have all these people that count on me instead of being, not just working myself to death. And it's a bad pattern and it's hard to get out of, but I'm always working on it. Okay.
You needed.
Yeah. Well, and I've kept you over by 1 minute, so I apologize. But I thank you guys. I learned a lot. And I look forward to having a one-on-one. I have a couple more scheduled, but Jess, you can do it too. I practice. Okay.
Sounds good.
And I don't know if you have anything scheduled with me yet, Kayla, but go ahead and get on my schedule, please. Okay. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
It was really
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.